Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that's about to get slapped by Tommy Pham. My name's Nate Heininger, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
It's a year of the slap. Slaps are in.
It is. And this week, we are going to talk about some injury updates and the transactions that have followed. We're going to talk about the continued success of the baby birds. We're going to talk about the pitching staff and the continued need to support that, and some news and notes around the league. Yes, including the slap heard round our little corner of the internet. If you have an idea for the opening joke, tweet us at Talk About Birds. Well, Ben, I've got something to talk to you about.
Yeah.
I've had a revelation.
Okay.
That I need to share with you today.
I'm already afraid.
So I went back to the lake last weekend.
Okay.
This time went down.
Return to the scene of the crime. Classic.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, where we were murdered in a fishing tournament.
We were. Yeah.
I returned to the scene of my own murder. And I went down there with Molly, and we brought the kids, and we're there with my parents and my brother, his wife, and their daughter. It was good. Family fun all around. And thought, I haven't been fishing with my dad directly in a long time. Molly wants to go fishing. Lola has shown some degree of interest in fishing. So
I think I'm already going to get mad, but I'll let you continue.
Yeah, you will be.
I can feel it just based on your face and knowing your dad. Okay.
Yeah. So and I'd also asked him because they do that method of fishing, the trolling thing, right? Where
sure.
You're just scooting along and you just have lines out and you wait for the fish to jump, and then you just sit and drink beer and reel them in when you get them, right?
Something that I'm like emotionally incapable of doing because of the patience required.
Yes. And I had tried this a little bit. Chris and I in our boat, we had tried trolling, and we did a bad job at it. And so I thought, like, well, I'll go with him and he can show me, because I've never done it on my own before. I've never really even done it.
Right.
So I need him to help me out. And so we go out in the morning on Sunday, and we get out there around 8:30, and we fish for maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And we caught 8 fish, which is more than I caught over the full weekend.
Yeah.
And almost more than like our entire boat, our 2 boats.
Our catch of the week. Yeah. Of the weekend. Yeah.
Of the weekend. It almost exceeded 4 people's output over 2 full days in 1 hour. And here's my revelation, though.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there, I'm having a great time. This was awesome. We're catching fish.
Hey, fish on it. That's good time right there.
We had a double. I'm reeling in. Molly's reeling in. Lola's having a great time. She's like starting to get, she's a little uncomfortable at first, but she reeled in a little bit. We got fish left and right, more than what, we know what to do with. So sitting there, and, I see my dad. He's got the long gray hair. He's been retired for a couple
Nate's
years.
Dad has transitioned to wizard in the past 2 years.
And I started thinking about the tournament and all the participants, and, all of them are retired, and, this is all that they do. And so
you're retiring.
I think there is a direct inverse relationship between how successful you are at fishing and how much you contribute to society.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That I've got 2 podcasts. I contribute so much to society. I'm never going to be able to successfully catch fish.
Right. So this is not you realizing that your dad is a good fisherman and he knows what to do. This is you saying that you have too much going on. How could you possibly?
there's some
be
sort of
successful at this.
cosmic balance at play here, Ben.
So it's not even you, it's the universe is
it's the
against
universe.
you. Wow.
Yeah. But it's not even it's just how the universe works. I'm not even saying it's inherently a good or bad thing. I'm just saying if you no longer contribute to society, you're more likely to catch fish.
I think there's like a to B line. I think you're 100% right.
Yeah.
First off, never take an L. So I'm aligned with you fully here.
Right?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And your dad is a loser. And anyone who's retired is, I don't know, undesirable.
I'm not even saying that, but that's fine too. But so I think what we have to do if we're going to truly be successful at this next year, which I intend to be, I think we got to quit our jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deal. Sold.
All the people who did the best in the tournament, none of them have jobs. So what else am I supposed to take away from this?
Oh, you don't have to sell. I'm on board whether we catch fish or not. So let's do it. I'm moving down to the lake with Ray. I can scrub a dock or whatever he does. Move rocks. I don't even know what the guy does.
I don't know. I think it's scrubbing docks and moving rocks. It rhymes too. That's nice.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. So it was only that, that's that morning, that lovely morning on the boat that I had that revelation.
Yeah. And did you share that with your dad?
Nope. But he did tell me he listens to the podcast sometimes. So
okay.
Here it is.
Shout out Ray.
Yeah. So this is a good weekend though.
I think I might just quit my job now, and then I'm just gonna like kind of use the next 365 days to baste and marinate and get ready for this.
And you do often baste and marinate already. So like, what's your new blend in your post work life?
I don't know, but that's where the flavor comes from though. So
I would say like we need this Patreon and we need this podcast to really pop, but then I get worried about
that's a job.
That's a job.
That's a job. It becomes a job. If this, then we'd have to quit this to even catch fish. So you're right. Yeah. You have 3 jobs right now.
Yeah. Damn.
Try hard.
I got too many jobs.
Nate's classic catchphrase.
Well, anyway, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. We're recording after dark tonight.
Yes,
because
tab after dark
because I had a lot of work items come down the pike, so that was fun. But no, I'm doing fine and dandy. How about yourself?
Okay. Well,
I got to watch some of the Cardinals game, which was good. That usually we'd be recording during the Cardinals game, so that was good.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what we've come here to talk about, I suppose. Who's doing well? Who's doing fine? Paul Goldschmidt.
Wow. I think that you can make a very short and very succinct and very strong argument that he's the best offensive player in baseball this year, to this point where we're sitting right now. Not the best all around. Mike Trout, Shohei, great players all over the place. But the best offensive player, I think, is Paul Goldschmidt, and he broke records that Stan Musial and Rogers Hornsby set in the 20s and 50s, and Albert Pujols.
Yeah,
not only some of the best Cardinals of all time, but some of the best players of all time, some of the best right-handed hitters of all time, and obviously Stan, a left-handed hitter. The guy is possessed. What else is there to say? He's hitting the ball hard. He's walking. He's hitting the ball the other way. He's running the bases great. He's playing a great first base. MVP, the MVP crown. Unfortunately, Nolan had a 2-week skid in there, but Paul was so hot. He was hit over 400 for the whole month with power.
Yeah, it's been a remarkable month, and there's some other guys. It's going to be really interesting. Mookie Betts has had a phenomenal May as well, but while some of his counting stats are higher than Goldie's, he is on a what I would call a more potent offense that's going to create those higher counting stats. But almost every other ratio and underlying metric is going to point to Paul Goldschmidt having a better month. So I'm expecting Goldschmidt will win Player of the Month. Not that that matters that much, but it's still fun for Arenado in April and then Goldschmidt in May.
And I'm not I didn't find this out. I think it was mentioned on the broadcast or somebody tweeted it, but Tyler O'Neill won Player of the Month last year. So the Cardinals are poised to have three consecutive, although, like an offseason splitting them in half, three consecutive Player of the Month awards. And I agree with you. I
Interesting.
think I would be surprised if Goldie didn't win it just because of that average that he held on to the whole month.
Yeah.
And like I already said, the power in the walks and also that just everything he does. He's
He
been
walk off grand slam. I mean, what
walk
more?
off grand slam on a pitch that was basically low and inside. It was almost
Yeah.
out of the strike zone, and he put it
Yeah.
rows deep. Like it was the
Yeah.
guy's
I
locked
mean,
in.
this is premium Goldschmidt. I don't know if this is the best month he's had in his career because he has had multiple MVP type seasons, but this was what we've seen of Goldschmidt at times, but I don't think for this long that we've seen it so far and with this amount of impact. I mean, he is hitting everything and hitting it hard. And it's awesome, man. Like, his whole thing, the book on Goldschmidt has always been that like April and May, it's going to be a little rough, but once the summer months start coming, he heats up and we've seen that now. He's been a Cardinal for several years and it is what it is, right?
Is it conceivable that he is going to get hotter as it gets hotter outside? It
I
doesn't seem like
cannot
you can keep going up from where he's
I
at.
cannot imagine him doing better than what he just. I mean, like we just said, he set the record for most extra base hits by a Cardinal in a month, at breaking the tie between Sam Musial and Albert Pujols, at 23 extra base hits in a month. He has I believe it's now 22 game hitting streak, which is a lot of games, and it's like a 35 or 36 on base streak. It's truly remarkable, and I mean, the Cardinal offense has been good in different ways. Over the last month, we've talked about the sort of resurgence of the Cardinal offense, and we've seen guys like Donovan chipping in. Carlson before he got hurt was looking good. Edmund continues to be productive, not nearly as much as he was in April, but like Goldie has put the team on his back, and I think this is what it looks like when you have an MVP player carrying a team to success. The Cardinals' record is as the best it's been after the sweep of the Padres today, best we've seen of the year, and the Cardinals are looking as good as they've ever looked this year, and it's pretty much because every time Paul Goldschmidt comes to the lineup, you're like, I mean, it feels like it's a guaranteed double, if not more.
Yeah, he over the 27 games in May, OPS 1288. And
Not
yeah, I think
bad.
it's not obviously anytime a player goes off and gets on a hot streak like that, that is extremely good for the team. But a time when Tyler O'Neill is down, when Steven Matz goes down, Dylan Carlson isn't contributing, Jack Flaherty isn't contributing, Nolan went cold. Obviously, we had some protection from the baby birds, which we'll talk about. But when all of those names are names that maybe you didn't necessarily count on for absolute production. All of those things added up together make a huge hole in this team. We have Brendan
Yeah.
Donovan starting in right field some nights, and I didn't think anybody in February really thought that was going to be a part of the plan at all. We kind of, I think, all probably penciled in 150 plus starts from each of the three main outfielders, and
Yeah.
two of those have basically not contributed. So it couldn't have come at a better time. It is, I think, what like his back must be tired. What he is doing is saving the Cardinal season right now.
Yeah.
And he's not doing that by himself. Like that should be talked about for sure. Like our Bader Tots has turned up and has been playing really, really great defense. In that Padres series, he made a couple of catches that very few other center fielders make, and his bat is heated up a little bit too. But
Yeah.
yeah, to get back to that, you didn't talk about Goldie. Um, he couldn't have gotten this hot at a better time, and it's so opposite of his normal thing that I'm like we're like in uncharted territory. There's this big wide green meadow in front of us, and I don't really know what's he going to do next.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's what we all, had dreams when the Cardinals acquired Goldschmidt. He'd come off of there's questions of like, was peak Goldschmidt done? Do Cardinals have decline Goldschmidt? And even decline Goldschmidt, which it kind of looked like we might have in like 2019 and in 2020, like it's still super valuable player. One of the better, when you add in his defense and just general baseball awareness, like I'll take what we got from Goldschmidt in those years every year and you'd be happy with it. But there's always been this little bit of like, man, remember Goldschmidt, like
Yeah.
peak Diamondback years? He was best player in the league, or he was, in conversation for best player of the league. And only reason he doesn't have MVPs under his belt is because he ran into seasons like Bryce Harper's 2015, where he had like one of the best seasons in baseball history. And there's been some good talent in the league alongside him. And, this is only a month, but, he was still okay in April. And considering his track record of June, July, August, and September just being better, like, we said it from the beginning, but like, I think this is the type of year that puts a guy like Paul Goldschmidt back on a Hall of Fame track, reestablishes him as a, cornerstone player of the team. And if Arenado starts to heat up, which he looked a lot better in this Padres series, particularly the last two games, like, this is the dream of having Goldschmidt and Arenado in your lineup back to back, right?
Yeah, I think, and pick whatever WAR, BWAR, F4 that you want to. I happen to have Baseball Reference up in front of me right now, but Paul Goldschmidt in, is it 47 games, has already surpassed his Baseball Reference WAR from his 2019 season, his first season with the Cardinals, and that was 161 games. I
Yeah.
think why I say that is, first off, holy, that's amazing,
Yeah.
impressive. But it also, like, there was the Derek Gould story about the bat. There's been conversations about him grinding and looking at tape. And there was just a story, and this is one of those anecdotal narrative things, but, the team is kind of slowly rolling in to the clubhouse for a day game. And Paul Goldschmidt's already, deep in Nick Martinez video and he's watching it. Like, the ability for this guy to change and adjust and adapt to the game around his physical skills, whether it's the bat, the approach, the workout, whatever the hell he's doing, I think is enough. Like that is what gets you to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not saying anything anybody doesn't know, but we're seeing that happen in real time, and we're seeing the results, and we're seeing him not just defy the aging curve or whatever you want to call it, but he is leading the league in hits. He is leading the league in average, slugging, OPS, total bases, OPS plus. Like, he
Yeah.
is, like I said at the beginning of this, the best offensive player in baseball. This isn't a hot streak or whatever. I mean, it is, but
It is.
that those are real and those are
Yeah.
tangible, and that is him. I mean, this is what he's doing.
Well, yeah, and it'd be different, like, if it was, let's say it was like Yepez or somebody who was
Yeah.
having the best month and he was the best player in baseball for that month. Everyone would be like, this is great, but like, this is probably the best month of his career.
Yeah. When's it gonna drop? Yeah.
Yeah, but Goldschmidt, he's not going to sustain this, but you're like, this is what he does when he is truly locked in, and he has done this a lot over his career. We just don't normally see it this early, and really this sustained. That on base streak is remarkable. A 22 game hitting streak is remarkable. Yeah, he's locked in. It's a ton of fun. Um, I mean, what more could you ask for? And I just hope that he keeps it going and Arenado steps up, and we get Ty looking like he might be coming back soon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the only thing I can even compare this, I'm just trying to think of when's the last time as a Cardinals fan I felt like this. Like, Matt Holliday had some halves
yeah,
of seasons, and then I know for sure an MVP season of his, and I can't think of the year off the top of my head, but MVP season of his got derailed by injury. But that was really the last guy that I can think of where we're watching something happen, and people, not only can they not get him out, but he's just crushing the ball everywhere.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe a Matt Carpenter circa 2012, 2013 season. Where
Yeah,
what
I
was the
remember a
season where he hit?
particular Cubs series
What's
where he
the what's the season where Carpenter hit 50 doubles? It
that
just
that
felt
was
like
his, like, first full season in the bigs when he was playing second base. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that was fun. It was like he's either going to draw a walk because he understands the strike zone better than anyone else in baseball, or he's going to rope one down the right field line, and it's going to be awesome. Speaking of, I think we have this later in the
You want to talk some Marp real quick?
yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
Great transition. What a stash.
I mean, that's really what the story is. Like, it's nice to see a couple of balls go over that short porch there in
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium. But I'll tell you, I'm gonna take a bold stance here. I thought Matt Carpenter's beard was bad. Okay, it looked dyed. It looked manufactured. Like if it looked like a SNL skit beard or something like that. I did
Yeah.
not love it. And the mustache is so good that I'm thinking about growing my own. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I want to be like Matt Carpenter.
He looks like Dr. Robotnik.
like the Jim Carrey Dr. Robotnik, or
Yes.
okay, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, he's come up. First off, it should be like, it's crazy that the Rangers, who have actually had a pretty good May, I thought that they were going to just drown. But they have actually had a pretty good May, and Corey Seager's heating up, and Simeon finally hit a home run.
Nice.
First one of the year, like a month and a half in.
Yeah.
But Carpenter was playing really well. They wouldn't call him up, and now he's coming up, and he's got a 165 WRC plus in super limited time. But he's walking and he's hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And obviously, like, if you're a left-handed hitter, there's no better stadium to hit than in Yankee Stadium. So,
well, the Yankees have gone after guys like that. We talked about, Odor was mentioned as like a comp of like someone who basically failed out of the league in one team and they took a shot on him. And he didn't particularly like blow anyone away with the Yankees, but he was pretty serviceable. And I think you would bet on the skills of Carp returning more than you'd bet on the skills of Odor, even though Carp had been pretty rough for several years now. The Rangers one is interesting. And I kind of like the story. Basically, the Rangers, for whatever reason, made like the business decision that they were not going to call up Matt Carpenter. I guess they have maybe some younger guys that they want to play, or I don't know, maybe they just don't want to win more games and they are, trying to, improve their draft pick. I don't know. He had an over 900 OPS in their minor league system. So like, he should have been called up if they were actually trying to compete. And they basically said, we will not be calling you up. So we are releasing you.
right.
So that you can get a shot to play somewhere else, which is cool. That's nice of them. They don't have to do that. They could just keep him there and, let their AAA team, have a veteran guy or whatever. And instead they let him go to pursue, opportunities elsewhere, which is nice. And I'm glad he caught on. Yankees, it's a good spot. And we all get to laugh at his mustache now, which is, I think it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I also think Carp getting love from big media out on the East Coast is good. Like, Carpenter is an underrated player. He has been for a long time. It's not like a Hall of Fame guy or anything, but somebody who is Cardinal Hall of Fame. And he's been a great player for a long time, and he's kind of unheralded. What percentage of the Odor and the Carpenter signing do you think Cashman is just him kind of being like, I want to see what these guys' faces look like? Because they're two like S tier beards that are now. Well, they're Odor's is back now. They just on the Orioles, but I think he's just like, I just want to see what this looks like.
It's not 0%, but
okay, yeah, he's weighing that in. There's at the round table in the Yankee Stadium. Some guys like, Cash, think about that beard. What's under there?
That beard. Maybe they're like doing it as a favor. They're like, Cartman, that beard's got to go. It's not a good look. You got a handsome face, buddy. Why you hiding it?
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess all that being said, I shouldn't be really judging a famous baseball player and how they look, but I am. Damn it.
What else do podcasters have to talk about?
yeah. There's no baseball to talk about. Let's talk about Marp's beard.
Yeah. Well, we wish him the best. Who among us as Cardinal fans are not huge Marp fans? And
I mean, I'm very hopeful that he like pokes 20 bombs over that and maybe
fun.
gets a deal or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I think we're going to see Marp as a fixture for the Cardinals for a very long time. I think he's going to be in the Cardinal Hall of Fame, and he'll be around. So, well, moving on. A few updates on some injuries. Ben, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, we had two shoulder impingements on two players that are pretty important to the Cardinals. One being Steven Matz, one being Tyler O'Neill, and both of them were kind of, oh well, what's going to happen? What does this return look like? They finally, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of the medical here, but they finally took a look inside his shoulder.
Just peeled it open.
Yeah. They opened the door that's in the back of everyone's shoulder. And they found a bunch of fluid and inflammation. Guess what? He got a cortisone shot. It cleared a lot of that out. I'm sure some of that fluid was drained, which is always fun. So that's somewhere. Maybe that's for sale somewhere by some toenail.
You just talked yourself into a real gross little corner. What do you want to do with that? What would you do with that fluid if you got O'Neill's shoulder fluid?
I think I'd try to use it, try to get big and strong and fast like him.
You think yeah, that makes sense. So he's so ripped that he just leaks like fluid
that some low level superhero, like super low level, where I can play very well at in local the hospital pickup baseball games. Yeah, as I'm dying. No, okay, back on topic. He got a cortisone shot. The leak, or it stopped leaking or whatever. I don't know anything about medicine.
Yeah. We are the worst. This is so ineffective at what we're trying to communicate.
Okay, here, I'll reset. Matt Carpenter and Steven Matz both got cortisone shots in their shoulder. Great. It is improving. Steven Matz threw. We're happy about that. Tyler O'Neill is starting to do baseball activities. So obviously, shoulder things, cortisone shots, they're not ideal, but it seems like it's working. It's responding quickly. And I think we actually have a timetable on both of these guys coming back now. And with what's been going on with our pitching depth, that it's funny to say this, but because pitching is the bigger problem right now and the offense has been humming along on the back of Goldie, Tyler, I'm more like, take your time, get healthy, take some time in AAA, find your swing, because we all know his swing, his timing and everything wasn't perfect when he was fully healthy. So take your time. And then Matt's on the other hand, obviously you don't want to rush anything when it comes to health and specifically shoulder health for a pitcher, but get the guy. We need him back, or the Cardinals need to do something. But yeah. Anyways, good news.
Yeah, it is good news. Those were such vague injuries. It was like, are they?
Yeah, we had to look up what an impingement was.
Yeah.
With all our vast medical knowledge.
Yeah. And Matz has had ups and downs, but I think, it would be very good to have Matz back in the rotation, because I think we're both still long-term believers in Matz, and I think he can figure it out and be very, very effective in this rotation, but he's not going to do that on the IL. So hopefully he comes back soon.
Yeah, and Matt's, just to expand on what you're saying a little bit, he has not had an easy go of his early Cardinals career. His peripherals look great. He's less than 2 walks per 9, over 10 Ks per 9. His FIP is in the 4s, which isn't amazing, but good. And he's got a 6 ERA to show. So I think, it can be annoying, especially with almost 40 innings. We need production now, Matts. But you can kind of look at everything that's going on and hopefully him getting healthy, and that either he's going to make the Cardinals better when he comes back. I don't think can be argued.
Well, and if it just means that our personal podcast favorite Packy Naughton, maybe doesn't have to start anymore. Not that it's been terrible or anything, but still, he's not a starter right now. So being able to have Matz in there would be much better.
Yeah, I think that's a great transition to the next topic. I think we were talking last week about who's going to get the starts, who makes sense. I think we kind of pegged Jake Woodford, maybe Andre Palante. There are definitely options, but Packy came back up. And something that I thought was interesting is that Jake Woodford was sent down for the second time this month. And Oliver Marmol, I don't ever call him that. Oliver Marmol said it wasn't performance related, which is interesting. So, of course, the good beat writers that help us all out said, well, what's going on? And he specifically said that he needs to go down to AAA because of the shape of the slider. The slider is, it's not tunneling well, it's not biting well. And first off, I guess we can talk about what that means. But I just love the fact that we have a manager that will sit down with the media and say, hey, this guy is going down because of this specific problem. We want him to work on this specific problem, and then he'll
Yeah.
come back up and probably have meaningful innings.
Yeah, it is nice. I will say though, um, saying it's not performance related, but we need him to go down and get and perform so he can perform better is is a little bit of a misleading. But I think I get what
but
he's
Wood,
saying.
but
You
Woodford
know,
hasn't been performing bad. Like he has a
yeah,
2.25 ERA. Like I think that's where that's
right.
coming from, and I think
They're
it's
saying it would be it could be a lot. It will get worse.
right.
He will regress if we don't fix this ahead of time, which
Yes,
is cool. Like that, I like you said, I don't think we've seen that very often. I think like I get the sense that Schilt would have like Woodford would be our number one starter right now, throwing 8 innings a day because of his 2.25 ERA, and instead Marmol, and I'm assuming partnership with the analytics team in the front office, are saying like results have been good, but we are worried about the longevity of this performance, and we want to get ahead of it and have you fix your slider before the league catches up with you.
and I think it's it's I would never call the way that Mo and Gersh act like desperate or anything like that. But I think clearly the team needs help with pitching right now. Clearly, Woodford's results have been pretty good on the field, but they still are valuing his overall progression as a player, his future, whether it be months down the road or next year, over helping the pitching staff out right now. And that's, I guess, why you go get a Packy Naughton, um,
Packy.
or whoever it might be to kind of give you extra depth around there. So I just love that that is the way that Ali is looking at it and Mo is looking at it. And more than that, that they're telling us what's happening.
Yeah, it is nice. Well, let's talk about some of the guys that are doing well, and some of the um, uh, repercussions of these injuries. I think we have to start with Liberatore.
Yeah.
He is a beneficiary of the innings struggle. We all knew it was likely that 2022 would be his year to be a part of the rotation. None of us expected it to be this soon. I don't, obviously the Cardinals didn't even, but I mean, I don't know. It certainly seems like he is establishing himself as a member of this rotation, sort of no matter what happens and who comes back.
Yeah, we kind of talked about his first start, about how it's really hard to glean anything off of a 22-year-old kid making his big league debut with his family in the stadium and all the
Yeah.
narrative and the national
And Corey
media going around.
Dickerson in left field,
Corey Dickerson in left field. And you could just tell, you watch that first start in Pittsburgh and the stuff wasn't sharp. And I'm sure some people were like, this is the kid, this is the prospect that everybody's been talking about. But then he comes out and that in his first start in Busch Stadium, and everything looks sharp right off the bat. The fastball, he was able to get in on righties. It was hitting 94, 95 somewhat consistently. The breaking balls looked great. There was kind of some bashing, not even bashing, just kind of downplaying of his curveball effectiveness in the minors. And kind of, I know there were reports of some people saying that it was, you could see it out of the hand easily, and it's got a bit of a hump to it, and big league hitters are going to recognize it. Then he comes up to the bigs at Busch, and he is burying that thing in the dirt. People are swinging over it. He didn't get a ton of strikeouts. It went 5 innings, 2 hits, 6 Ks, and 3 walks.
I mean, that's over a K per nine. You'll take that every day, right?
He looked great, and I know, like, take all this kind of thing for whatever it's worth, but he looks like he's supposed to be there, which is always nice. Like, big tall guy. He's got kind of the Chris Carpenter like disposition where he just seems very serious about
Has his
everything.
mouth open a lot.
and he looked great, you know?
Yeah, it's fun.
And oh my God,
Um,
did the Cardinals need 5 innings from him?
yes. Just like in today's game, the Cardinals absolutely needed as much from Dakota Hudson, and I cannot believe they got 7 innings out of him against the Padres.
That was
Almost the
huge.
entire bullpen was out today, and we had a good Whitley sighting, and made the end of the game interesting. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I thought he was going to be a little more of a factor this year, and
yeah.
that just
Well,
has not been
it's
happening.
relievers, it, it's it's so fickle. Well, let's keep talking about the young guys a little bit more. We suffered. We suffered. Our Gormania went unchecked.
We weren't
Uh,
doing well for a while.
we weren't doing well. Ben was drinking shoulder fluid. We were
I had
struggling.
people pull me aside and ask me about it. Very serious conversations.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the Gormania is well. Now I don't know how this metaphor is working because I was gonna say it's going away because it's been cured because we're getting Gorman now, but it's also flaring up because he's looking great.
Yeah, I don't want to make too many jokes about like a disease spreading or anything right now, because that might hit a little too close to home for me and probably everyone.
Yeah,
But it's all over the place. It's fantastic. I think, like, I knew, watching some of the clips from the minor leagues and reading the things and the power grade, the 70 power grade that scouts give him and all this stuff. I knew that this was going to happen, but the guy hits the ball so hard every time. It seems
yeah,
like he makes contact. It is screaming 100 plus miles per hour. Defenders can't even make a move on it. They've already he's been shifted in the majority of his at bats, and he has drilled the ball into the shift hard enough where people aren't catching it. He's already had a max exit velo of 110 or of 110. His hard hit percentage is over 50%. He's
yeah,
walking more. I mean, everything other than the defense, everything has been great. And I think if I had a gripe, I would gripe about the idea that he hasn't DH'd as much as I thought he would. I thought, especially with Sosa kind of playing a little bit better, it would make sense to have Tommy Edman at second, Sosa at short, and then Gorman at DH. And I guess if I have one other gripe, and I'm sure the Cardinals and Ollie definitely have the reason for that, but I'm surprised that we basically have seen him completely protected from facing left-handed pitching.
yeah. Well, the Cardinals have been really good against left-handed hitter or pitchers this
Right.
season, and uh, that is their big excuse to get Pujols in the lineup too. And I think it's been like they don't really need it yet, and so let's let him get acclimated to the big leagues and be successful in the thing that we know can be successful in, and sort of I assume their plan long term obviously is for him to be an everyday player, but why
Right.
not sort of isolate him right out of the gates? I mean, he's only had 36 plate appearances, so everything is still incredibly small sample size. But yeah, I mean, I would love to just let the big dog eat, but but I
Really sound like
it's
a grizzled veteran right
yeah, I
there.
know what I'm talking about. Uh, yeah, I think what stands out to me the most, besides the hard hit rate that you talked about, which was expected, but it's still nice to see at the big league level. The thing that stands out to me the most is his 14% walk rate.
Yeah.
That's not gonna stick. He's usually been down at like a 8-7% ish, in his career, so nearly doubling it. But what I do like is that shows that he is, really, really thinking about his approach now that, in his major league debut, and it's working. He does have an over 500 BABIP, so we expect some regression. Obviously, he's not going to have a 224 WRC plus for his entire career. But I mean, what more could you ask for from a highly touted prospect getting called up and kind of mashing right out of the gates and drawing walks, which is the
Yeah.
big thing. Like striking out and drawing walks, that's the stuff to look at right now. We know he's going to hit the ball hard, but does he maintain a solid strikeout rate and maintain a solid walk rate? And that's how I think you project that long term success, and those look good.
Yeah, and he's the kind of guy that comes up from the minors, and the teams already have a book on him, right? Like they know they're not just like, okay, I'm just going to try to get this kid out. They know what they have a plan of attack, and the fact that he's able to be aware of that, understand how people are pitching him, and kind of adjust to it. Obviously, like you're talking about, the league will adjust again, and he'll have to adjust again, and we'll go through all that. But yeah, everything looks really, really good, and I think there are some real numbers to grab onto to get excited about
Yeah.
already.
The other guy we want to talk about real quick is Palante, who,
Neil.
yeah, it
I
just.
just learned that his first name is actually Neil, not
Oh, really?
Andre. Yeah, it's Neil Andre Palante.
Okay. Well, yeah, Andre Palante is a
It's
lot
better.
cooler
It is
than
better.
Neil. Yeah, good choice.
But yeah, he's been fantastic. He's got 25 and a third already, a 107 ERA and a 3.41 FIP. So obviously he's pitching a little above his head, and I think we'd all probably want a little more strikeouts from him. But the fact that he is taking over some high leverage and multi inning. There's even talk about him maybe slotting in for a start here soon. He's been fantastic. He's been better than advertised in the sense that I don't think I really knew who he was 5 months ago or something like that. So yeah, I think all three of these guys have kind of really carried the Cardinals, especially in May.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we've got a lot more to talk about. But before we do, we want to remind everyone that this show is supported on Patreon. If you enjoy the show, want to contribute to its growth, show your appreciation, we would appreciate if you went to patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds, threw us a couple bucks a month. It really does help. And anyone who contributes gets access to the Bird Scored. That's our private Discord server where we're talking about games, we're posting pictures, we're having a great time in the Bird Scored, and we'd love to have you there. So check it out, patreon.com/talking about birds. We also appreciate anyone and everyone who has left us a nice review on the podcast app. It just takes a couple minutes. It helps. We love it. We love you. Ben, why don't you tell the people where they can find us online?
5-star reviews only. All right.
We never take an L.
That's right. Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Talk About Birds. You can follow us on Instagram at Talking About Birds. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you just want to chat with us, or more specifically, Nate, you can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. We've talked about this in the past. Nate just recorded his other podcast tonight. Ask him about video games. He's a nerd. Look at him. Oh, so cute. Outside of that, make sure to follow us. If Spotify is your preferred listening platform, we're on there too. Outside of that, tell your friends, steal phones, subscribe for us. But yeah, we appreciate everything.
Steal a phone, subscribe to it, go to jail, get all of their phones.
Ooh, jail
subscribe
phones.
to it.
Yes,
Jail phones.
that's our market inefficiency. There are so many phones in jail.
Yeah. We know a thing or two about jail.
Yeah, a couple of. I don't even know what
Rough Riders. All right. Just a few more Cardinal points that we want to talk about. We've mentioned it a bunch this episode, and really just on like probably every episode since our reboot, we've said that the Cardinals need starting pitching support. I don't think anyone disagrees. A recent development has sparked some conversation amongst the Cardinal faithful. Dallas Keuchel, former Cy Young winner, but really hasn't been very effective for quite a while now, was recently DFA'd. But that, I mean, it is basically exactly the type of people that the Cardinals target. Your J.A. Haps, your John Lesters. So, of course, everyone's thinking like, well, there's the target. That's the guy the Cardinals are going to go and get. What do you think about that?
I don't know. I am conflicted while also understanding that, and we've talked about the reality of these moves, the J.A. Happ and the John Lester move, which honestly, if you put those two pitchers in a blender, Dallas Keuchel might come out. It's a nice
And a
Dallas
lot of
Keuchel
shoulder juice.
Slurpee. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and they saved the team, and there's a 17 game winning streak, and all of the good times were had. That is very true, and I don't think you should ignore that. I also don't think you should ignore that Dallas Keuchel has a 58% ground ball percentage in his career, and in limited innings this year, he had a little over 50%. And he has been a ground ball pitcher, a finesse pitcher his entire career. This is who the Cardinals have actively targeted. He's a left-hander. I don't know if there's any actual value in that. I think the Cardinals don't really care about that, and I'm not sure I really care about that. Like having, I think it's important in the lineup, but in the pitching staff, I think that's a bit irrelevant. Um, so all that said, there's a lot of good there, right? He would be cheap because nobody's going to pick up that salary. You'd pay him league minimum, prorated 715 or whatever the new league minimum is. All those things to be said, do I think he's worth taking a flyer? I kind of do.
Yeah.
I in the sense that the Cardinals need innings. Now, I think that if something like that were to happen, it would be like the dude's on a tightrope, like a start by start basis. And I think that
Yeah.
he has been so ineffective. I mean, he called himself ineffective when they put him down on waivers. He was like, "Yeah, I 100% get why they're doing this. I'm not shocked to hear this news at all. Obviously, not happy about it." But all that to be said, ineffectiveness. He fits the Cardinals profile. He is cheap. You're not going to lose anything to pick him up. Um, Solid beard, S tier beard again. We're talking a lot about facial hair this episode.
Mm-hmm.
All that to be said, would I like it? No. Should the Cardinals do it? Probably.
Probably. Yeah. One, like, what right now, what is like the huge difference between a Packy Naughton start and a shot at Dallas Keuchel? As long as you do have that short leash, which the Cardinals have not known for their short leashes. So that's where I am a little bit worried, is that like they'd get him and it'd be like, all right, he's in the rotation for 2.5 months before any decision is made.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I'd be curious of how they would handle this. Let's say they picked him up tomorrow. Would he go to AAA, and would he kind of get in the Cardinals system and kind of talk to the various pitching coaches and talk to the development staff, and they would say, "Hey, Dallas, we love you, but throw this pitch away, and this is what we need you to
We're
do." I
gonna
like,
need you to pitch better. We love
yeah.
you, Dallas. We love you, but we're gonna need you to do a little better.
He's like not a spin rate king or anything like that. And I'm not going to pretend I know as much as the Cardinals front office, but if there's some adjustment that you could make, if there's something that you see, it's absolutely worth a shot. So I think I'm pro move. I'm pro that move in general. I would very much like to see that he's not going to be walking almost 6 guys per 9 innings before that happens.
Yeah.
And that being said, if the rotation is in tatters right now, we might just need innings at this point.
Right.
It might not, like, this whole conversation about his effectiveness might be irrelevant because we just need somebody to come in and hopefully not get completely destroyed. But yeah, I think your Packy Naughton comparison it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, to add in, or I guess to reiterate the idea of, if the guy's getting blown up and he's walking people all over the place, move on. Be ready to
Yeah.
do both of those things.
Well, and if the offense is actually like legit good this year, having a guy that goes your fifth starter, gives you 5, 6 innings, maybe gives up 5 runs, but you can steal a couple of those. There are worse things.
When Flaherty comes back, if Dallas Keuchel's the guy that gives Flaherty an extra day of rest, that's value. Like, there are
Yeah.
ways to use this player that makes sense. But
Yeah.
again, I just really feel like I need to reiterate the fact that he has been getting his ass handed to him in
Yeah.
Chicago. So
It's been bad.
all that needs to be, again, yeah, we'll see. We haven't heard anything. I would not be surprised. It is such a Cardinals move. I would not be
It's
surprised.
that I think that's why, there's so much buzz around it. It's like, oh, like guy who used to be good but has been kind of shitty for a while now, but has a high ground ball rate. Get him in here, bring him in. Let's see what happens.
I can already hear the Jim Hayes story of Dallas coming in and he's talking to Wayno and he's talking to Yachty and
Yeah.
he's talking to Mad Dog and I think he's found something and he's happy to be here and this defense,
Wow.
who wouldn't be a good pitcher in front of this
Baseball
defense?
heaven.
Yeah. I love Jimmy, but he says the same thing every time.
All right. So the only other thing we've got a 5-game series against the Cubs
Yeah.
happening over the weekend. And first of all, just a 5-game series over 4 days is ridiculous, but I'm
Talk
kind
about
of
baseball heaven though.
yeah, I
That's
was gonna say I'm kind of super excited about it, right? Like, what is it? The Cardinals have 29 games over the next 30,
yeah.
but there are a few off days in there because of
There's
some of these double headers and whatnot.
3 off days in June, 2 double headers equals there's baseball. There's almost more baseball than there is days. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty exciting. Talk about needing innings, by the way.
yeah, right. But I think Cardinals are playing really, really well. The Cubs are not. They have they're not an awful team. We even talked earlier in the season about like they could surprise people. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they are a team that's making good moves. They seem to have a cohesive, sort of rebuild happening. So they're not horrible, but they're also not super good either. So, uh,
Yeah, they took a step forward. Wilson Contreras is having maybe not an MVP season, but an MVP of the Cubs type season. What is too bad, and I think what I'm disappointed about. First off, I just think baseball's better when this guy's healthy. But Seiya Suzuki just went down on
yeah,
the 10-day DL, so he or IL, sorry. So we're not going to see him, which would be our first real taste. I've got to see him play the Rockies, which has been really fun. But I was very much looking forward to watching him for 4 games in a series and have him, hopefully get excited about being in this fun thing that he's going to be in for the next 6 or 7 years. So
yeah.
disappointed about that. We'll get a Marcus Stroman start though, which I think I think could be a little spicy. It's going to be spicy on Twitter. I don't know how spicy it's going to be in real life.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. The Cardinals just coming off of I think a successful series against the Brewers. Obviously, we would love to have taken 3 of 4 or even 4 of 4 against the Brewers at home, but it's hard to argue with a split against another really good team. And then they sweep the Padres, who are playing very well this year, despite their injuries and despite some of their inconsistencies. And so now, back-to-back series against difficult teams going into a 5-game series, which again is ridiculous against a bottom team. You'd expect the Cardinals to do well. So, it seems like a good chance to pick up some wins. I'm not in the prediction business here, but it'd be pretty disappointing if they don't take at least 3 of them, right? If not 4 or 5.
Well, yeah, just like you said, the team like the Cardinals needs to go into Chicago and beat the crap out of a team like the Cubs are right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be I think a really big weekend for the Central. And by that I mean the Brewers and the Cardinals. The Padres, who Nate just said the Cardinals kind of whipped on a little bit, which was a ton of fun, are going into Milwaukee. Hopefully Manny's mad and he's going to take some out on the Brewers pitching staff. But yeah, I'm going to be kind of watching both of those series this weekend, watching obviously what the Cardinals are doing with the Cubs, but even not more importantly, but obviously it's the matchup is much more even or much more compelling with the Brewers versus the Padres.
Yeah.
So, the Cardinals are creeping up. They're 2.5 games away from the Brewers right now. We could look up by next episode, and the Cardinals could be sitting in first place.
Yeah. And it's
And maybe should be like not in the prediction business, but Cubs aren't good.
yeah. It's still relatively early in the season for scoreboard watching, but you know,
I just
it's
want that
not
first place though.
it's not too early for us. Yeah. Well, June is when you really start to say like, if you've been playing the whole year, like small sample size, you can start to pull that tag away, and you can start to say like these teams are what they appear to be,
Yeah.
and Cardinals certainly appear to be like a contending team for the NL Central title, and it's definitely, we thought it would be, but now we know for sure it's down to Brewers and the Cardinals, and it's just going to be who can have the next best 3 months.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Like, I think if I was trying to assign an identity to the Cardinals in spring training, I don't think that like mashing and running wild on the bases would have been the
Yeah,
ways that I described them. And here you go. Their team WRC plus is super high, and they believe they still lead the league in steals. I mean,
they
obviously
just
they
were.
have
Yeah,
the speed to do it, but they're actually doing it.
yeah. Well, and we're saying everyone is stealing bases. There was I think it was Gould did a really good article about their approach to stolen bases and just like the way they're reading the pitchers and this like team effort about um you know taking bases when possible, and they're doing it. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
You know what I
So
have to say about that?
what?
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. Hey, all right. Speaking of a lot of fun, maybe the best,
Not maybe.
dumbest story that has ever happened in baseball occurred over the last week. I I truly don't even know. I feel like I'm going to struggle to talk about this because
I'm
I
been
love
locked
it.
in.
I love it so much. But
Yeah.
Ben, yeah, I feel like you're going to be able to break this down a little bit better
I
than I can.
and I don't. I'm not going to do a play by play for every. I think a lot of people have been paying attention. I'll do a super high level, but essentially what happened. Jock Peterson was out. He was grounding himself, which is something that I'm not even super familiar with. But it's the idea of walking around outside without shoes on, so that your feet are touching the ground. It's kind of like a spiritual kind of centering practice. So just imagine that Jack Peterson, who's kind of a doof, but I think a lovable doof, is walking around barefoot
Seems
in
like
the
a good guy.
outfield with
Yeah.
their mental health coach or their mental conditioning coach, and they're having probably an interesting conversation about spirituality and baseball and life and all that stuff. And our friend, I think his friend of the pod, Tommy
Revenge
Pham.
tour, revenge tour himself.
My goodness, I saw somebody point out like, of course, this is a guy that gets stabbed outside of a strip club. He just can't like he can't just shut up or
I
not even
forgot
shut
about
up, but
that.
like just chill out.
Just not be involved in bullshit. Yeah.
So Jack is grounding himself. Tommy Pham walks up, and Tommy Pham essentially says, "You remember fantasy football?" And Jock goes, "Yeah." And Tommy walks up, smacks him, and there's video of this smack. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you go seek it out because this is not a Will Smith Rock smack. This is a smack where you could see Jock Peterson, who was a big, strong man, and he could probably put somebody in a hospital if he wanted to.
Nice.
He
I'm a big
recoils
tough
a little
guy.
bit,
I'm
but I
a big
also,
tough guy.
yeah, he's a big tough guy. And then Jock said in the post game or the interview or whatever after he's like, I don't violence isn't the answer. He just kind of walked away. At this moment, the bench is clear. It's not really. The teams rush to either side of the player because they're in the middle of batting practice, and it's kind of like neutral waters. Like you don't do this, which I think is the other weirdest part of it. So that all happens, and Jock I think is like, I have the moral high ground here. I'm going to roast Tommy Pham as much as I can. And anyways, he meets with the media. He kind of lays it all out. Hey, there we had this fantasy football league, which we ended up finding out that Mike Trout was the commissioner of. And there were several Padres players. There was obviously Jack Peterson. And I'm assuming it was some type of West division, like AL/NL West division fantasy football league. Anyways, Jock's Tommy Pham claimed that Jock made an illegal move. Tommy didn't like it. He said, I'll quote Tommy Pham, so sorry for this. He's fucking with my money. And Jock admitted that they were playing fantasy football for a lot of money. And we can only assume that if like Mike Trout and Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson are in this league, that it's money that would make us all blush. Like it's
Yeah.
probably pretty serious money.
It's
Um,
like an like an unreasonable amount of money,
Oh
probably.
yeah,
All these
I'm
guys have too
thinking
much money. Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars is my guess. Like maybe right around there. I don't know how
Yeah.
much money Tommy Pham gets mad about, but that would be my guess. So anyways, that all happens. Jock kind of spills the beans, and then Tommy says he's not telling you the whole story. He disrespected me. The next day, Jock breaks out his phone and he shows that he sent a meme. It was three weightlifters. It was a Dodgers weightlifter, a Giants weightlifter, and a Padres weightlifter. And in the GIF, like the meme GIF thing, the Padres weightlifter was falling underneath the heavyweights, and the Giants and the Giants and the Dodgers weightlifters were succeeding. And
Well,
that
now
is
I
what
didn't know that part. He deserves to get the shit slipped, the shit slapped out of him. You don't attack with memes, all right?
yeah.
That's what he
and
slapped him for. That's
and
so stupid.
And then
Yeah.
Tommy said in the text, "I don't know you like that, Jock. Don't be messing with me like that, Jock. Like we're not friends, basically." So then shortly after that, Tommy Pham left the league. I guess took the L on the money. I don't know how exactly that worked. And then this happened in 2019. This all, or sorry, it's 2020.
Oh my god.
So this all happened this far after that. And I don't know if I really have anything else to add to it. I think anyone, like, it's clear who the winner and loser of this situation is, not only financially but like morally and everything like that. I just think like the fact that Jock was so open with all of the ins and outs of it, and Tommy was
Yeah.
trying to tough guy his way through. What are you doing, man?
Yeah, man, Tommy's got like, there's some sort of inferiority complex going right now with him. Like I mean, by all accounts, this probably is who he's always been, but he's just like unhinged right now. I mean, when the
Oh,
Cardinals traded him, you and I were both very big Tommy Pham
oh yeah,
fans as a Cardinal. I think a lot of people were. It was a great story. He spent 10 years in the minors, had a crazy eye condition that he was able to like find the right support on, and he looked, like a phenomenal player, and he kind of was. But when he got traded, the front office there was a lot of talk around his trade, and there was this
yeah,
sort of consistent underlying element of like clubhouse, clubhouse, clubhouse,
hmm,
and like you and I tend to like, I think narrative gets overblown and it doesn't mean that much, but I think these stories do give you a little bit more of a insight into
yeah.
what it might be like to have actually played like alongside Tommy Pham.
Yeah. And one other thing that I wanted to add, another little interesting tidbit that I thought was like kind of speaking to what you're talking about, how Tommy Pham maybe he needs to just go to a day spa, and maybe he needs to ground himself like Jock Peterson was doing.
Yeah.
Like he needs to
Yeah.
take a time and maybe look inside a little bit. But once Jock kind of showed everybody the meme gif, and everyone was like, "Okay, Tommy, what's going on here, man?" He starts going into this long rambling thing about like how he just keeps his money right, and he's got investments, and he's a big baller at all these casinos, and he gets comped all these rooms, and he's a
Uh-oh.
big baller in Vegas. And just kind of going on like that, and it was, I think I like towards the end of the story, while it is objectively hilarious, I think like one of my favorite baseball stories I can remember. Um, at the end of it, and especially kind of talking through it out loud right now, I'm like, "Oh, Tommy, are you okay,
Yeah.
man?"
It can be both funny and we can acknowledge that Tommy Pham might need some help right now.
Yeah. Good for Jock though. I kind of think of Jock as like this just like a doof. He just looks
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, the way he kind of carries himself and everything, he just seems like a doof. And for him to be like extremely earnest and I think self-righteous in a really funny
Yeah.
way was it made the whole story even better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know also, didn't Tommy Pham call Mike Trout the worst commissioner of all time or something like
He
that, which is
did.
just like, what a stupid thing to be like. He got suspended
He did.
for 3 games, right? For slapping another player about fantasy football. I mean, it's just slaps are in right now, buddy.
I
Like,
can't wait. I got to think of who I'm going to slap.
I
I need
know.
to figure this out. I want to give Tommy a little bit of credit when he said that thing about Mike Trout. He had a smile on his face, so I think
Okay.
maybe there was some self-awareness happening at that point, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Also, like Mike Trout's really, really good at baseball. Is he like he doesn't also need to be a good fantasy football commissioner?
Yeah, he can hire someone to run the league for him.
Yeah, for real, he can.
Mike Trout, I used to commission a bunch of different fantasy football leagues. Hire me.
Yeah.
Pocket change. For you, I'll do it for $1 million a year. For you, that's nothing.
So now you got 4 jobs.
I'm never going to catch any fish. All right. Well, we could only hope to get as good a story as that every year. So, thanks, fam. I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the business end of our of the show, and now on to some more bullshit. So, Ben,
Nate,
the year 2000 was an eventful one. Survivors of the Y2K catastrophe looked to the new millennia with hope. Control of the Panama Canal was handed over to Panama after 75 years of U.S. control. The state of Vermont passed HB 847, legalizing civil unions for same-sex couples. A 13-year-old Nate Heininger, in peak physical form, hung up his Little League cleats and used the registration money to buy a new guitar pedal, sending shockwaves across the globe. And on May 10th, in Phoenix, Arizona, Nolan Gorman was born. Nolan would go on to earn a spot in the starting lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals, becoming the first person born in the 2000s to play for the big league club.
Wow.
2000 was a memorable year. But just how memorable was it? We'll find out in another edition of Who Charted? Who Charted?
For a second, I thought you were going to hit me with a Conan O'Brien in the year 2000.
Oh, I should have. Nope, it's this.
No, this is good. Oh, okay.
All right. So here's how it works. I am looking at the Fangraphs page for the St. Louis Cardinals in the year 2000.
All right.
I've got their lineup and I've got their pitching staff. We're keeping it really simple. The goal of the game is to guess as many as you can of who ended up in the top 10 on plate appearances in the year 2000 and then innings pitched. If you get it right, then you'll hear our familiar sound of the crowd. And if you get it wrong, 3 outs and you're out of the inning.
All right.
So, which would you prefer to start with? Do you want to start with the lineup or do you want to start with pitching staff?
Start with pitching just because I know I feel very good about 2 picks off the top of my head. And hopefully my brain will rattle around and I'll get some lineup stuff that'll come out of this chat. So I feel very good about 2 names. Hopefully. Yeah. We'll see.
The last time we did this, we did 2008, which was a lot more recent.
Yeah.
Roughly 8 years more recent. And we're getting into I was 13 in the year 2000. So you were like 4 or 5 or something like that.
I've just aged very slowly because of my childlike sensibilities.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at the list of innings pitched leaders for the Cardinals.
Okay. I am 99.9% sure this was Rick Ankiel's big year. The year that it actually worked before everything started breaking. So I'm going to say Rick Ankiel.
Rick Ankiel is on the list. And he is number 4.
Number 4.
175 innings pitched.
Damn, that's number 4. What a different era.
Yeah, and he had a 3.5 ERA, 3.4 Fangraphs for. So yeah, that was one of the better Ankiel on the mound years.
Yeah, and then I thought it was at 01 where he kind of like fell off the rails, but maybe I'm getting that conflated. Okay, feel good about that. The next one that I have I'm feeling really good about this too is Alan Bennis. There we go. Okay.
But Alan Bennis Number 10. You snuck this one in.
Oh,
46 innings pitched to a 5.67 ERA, and he was negative 0.2 Fangraphs WAR.
Huh. Okay. Well, that scares me. Okay. All right. Now I'm thinking of this era of pitcher. I might be a little too early. Let's go with Jason Marquis. Is Jason Marquis on that team? It might be after that. Yeah. Damn it. Okay.
That's one out. No Jason
right.
Marquis. Jason Marquis was a little later.
Yeah. All right. My second guess is Matt Morris. Or my fourth guess. I'm not doing a good job at this.
Oh, my soundboard's being annoying.
There we go.
Matt Morris, number 7.
Devastating curveball.
53 innings.
Really? God.
3.57 ERA. You've gotten 3 and only 1 out. So 3 of the top 7 or top 10.
I cannot remember if the Bennis brothers were on this team or not. Obviously, I know Andy also pitched for the Cardinals around this time. Surprised to hear his brother only had 57 innings. I'm going to say Andy Bennis as well. Yes.
Nice. Yeah, Andy Bennis, number 5. 166 innings.
Look at that.
So he had a 4.88 ERA, 1.6 FWAR.
Damn. How many innings was that again?
166. Okay. So you have gotten 4 and 5, 7 and 10.
What was the ace? It was how about Darryl Kyle?
There you go. Darryl Kyle, number 1.
Yeah.
232 innings.
Wow.
3.91 ERA, 4.3 FWAR. RIP Darryl Kyle.
Yeah.
That was a big year for him. 20 wins.
20. I bet he got some Cy Young votes too, right? Probably.
Yeah, I don't have that in front of me, but I'm sure, especially at that era, 20 wins. That's got to get. I'm sure he got some votes. All right,
man, I'm missing some big names though.
Yeah, you've gotten all the ones that I thought you might. Now you got to really pull.
Yeah, so I have Darryl Kyle was number 1, but I'm missing 2 and 3, right?
Yep.
Damn. That's hard. I feel like I'm struggling. I'm just going to start throwing out names, or else I'm going to go crazy. Jeff Suppan, my favorite. Yeah, I don't think he was there yet.
No, I don't have him
later
in
the 2000s. All right, who was a big 90s pitcher that spilled over? Thinking of the Mark McGwire years, I'm like really struggling to remember who else was on the pitching staff.
Yeah,
I'm going to guess. My cat is trying to eat my microphone. I'm going to guess Steve Klein had a lot of innings this year out of the bullpen. Damn.
Yep. So you did well, though. You've got number 1, you got number 4, you got number 5, number 7, and number 10. So you got 5 of them.
Okay. I feel okay with that. I could have. Yeah. Well, I want to hear I got to hear these top 2. I'm very curious of 2 and 3.
Number 2, Garrett Stevenson. 200.1 innings pitched.
Don't remember that name at all.
I know. Pat Hinkin.
Wow.
194 innings.
I was never going to guess those names.
Both of these guys, although they both put up 2.2 FWAR, so they were valuable players. But they both had ERAs in the mid-4s.
All right.
Then you had Rick Ankiel, Andy Bennis, Dave Veras, 75 innings.
That either, yeah.
Then Matt Morris, then Mike James, 51 innings. And then one of the best names to ever come out of the bullpen, Heathcliff Slocum.
The cat?
It was. Don't you remember when we had a giant orange cat as our as our setup man?
It was like kind of mad about things and funny, I guess. I don't know. Heathcliff sucks.
Like a discount Garfield.
Heathcliff sucks.
49.2 innings,
All right.
5.44 ERA, negative 0.3 FWAR coming in from Heathcliff Slocum.
Wow. Can't believe that wasn't stuck in my brain still.
I can't believe you forgot our good friend, the giant cat. All right. Now we're going over into the lineup.
Okay.
So led the team in plate appearances in the year, as Conan would say, in the year 2000.
I thought you were going to go really high pitch there.
In the year 2000.
We didn't need it. Mark McGwire was definitely on this team.
Yes. Sorry, I'm slow. I'm just doing so good.
You're
at this
really
soundboard.
bad at the soundboard today.
Well, I was confused because he is number 10.
Really?
321 plate appearances.
Plate
So it took me a minute
appearances,
to
okay.
get all the way down there.
All right. So you did a Who Is This Guy with me. And I think it was around the same time period. So I'm going to say, oh, wait. Oh, crap. Let's go with Fernando Vina.
Number
There
3,
we go.
Fernando Vina, 554 plate appearances.
Oh, wow. Stud.
3.1 FWAR. Good season.
Fernando Vina, he should be properly appreciated. I don't know if he's a Cardinals Hall of Famer, but I feel like he had some
he's
really
not. He had
great years.
He had a 4-year run with the Cardinals. Won 2 Gold Gloves as a Cardinal. I don't think he hit well enough to be really someone who gets talked about in like a even a Cardinal Hall of Fame standpoint. 4 years isn't that long. I mean, this was a good year for him. 3.1 FWAR, and he had a batting average of 300 and OBP of 380, but a slugging of 398. His WRC plus was 105.
We didn't care about that stuff back then, Nate. Okay.
It's a good point. I take it all back. What they did care about was his 31 RBI.
There you go.
Yep. All right. You've gotten 3 and 10.
I feel less confident about this one, but I'm going to stick with the Fernandos, and I'm going to say Fernando Tatis Sr. was on this team.
You did
Let's
it.
go.
Fernando Tatis. Number 8, 394.
So wait, Vina had to be second base sometimes at least. Tatis was third base. Renteria was shortstop. Is that a Renteria year, or is he gone by then?
Is that your guess?
Yes, Edgar Renteria. Let's go. Oh,
number 2, 600.
Now I'm feeling good.
643 plate appearances. That was number 2.
JD Drew.
You are locked in. You're seeing the ball right now.
I'm feeling good. I think I'm starting to remember this now.
JD Drew, number 4, 486 plate appearances.
I was at JD Drew's first Cardinals game.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. Well, you can just keep that sound going because my next guess is, was Jimmy Ballgame? Jim Edmonds. I'm going to just say it. Jim Edmonds was on that team. I'm confident. Here we go.
Big time Jimmy Ballgame year.
Oh, yeah. This is 1 year before Pujols came out.
643 plate appearances, 6.5 FWAR.
Yeah, big time. Scotty Rowland's on this team too. Damn it. I was on a hot streak.
Momentum killer. All right, let's take a minute and regroup.
Yeah.
You've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 10. You've got 2 outs left.
Okay. 1, 2, 4, 8, 10. All right. Oh. So before Yachty came up, so it had to be Mike Matheny. Matheny.
Yep. 484.
Hit in the face and spit out his teeth, Mike Matheny.
There may not be like a cooler moment in baseball than Mike Matheny getting hit in the face by a pitch and just walking it off.
I'd respond to that anecdote, but I'm deep in thought. Reggie Sanders was the right fielder?
Who charted?
Oh, what the fuck? I accidentally deleted my. No, wrong.
Okay. It
You've got
definitely
one.
has less gravitas without the thing. So I appreciate him more now that I don't have him.
You're out.
That was 3?
No, you have one. You have one guess left.
Okay.
And you have 3 names left.
Yeah, I am like really struggling with who was splitting time with McGuire. If McGuire only had 300 at bats and was not the primary first baseman, wait, I have only 1 out left?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to try to, based off your facial movements, I'm going to help me make this. So the 2 names that are in my head are Tino Martinez. I'm not sure if he was on the Yankees at this point yet, and Eli Marrero. And I think it's one of those guys, but damn it, I don't know who. Tino. I'm gonna. I think Tino might have been a Yankee. I'm gonna go Eli Marrero. Your face.
No tells. You're out. That's a swing and a miss. That's the last one.
Tino wasn't on the list either, so I was just wrong on both accounts.
Well, Eli is on the list, but he's number 15.
Oh, damn.
So,
okay.
So you weren't that wrong, but you were still wrong. Yeah, I think Tino was that 2001 when they got him. Maybe 2002.
I know he won at least a championship with the Yankees, so it had to be the early 2000s. I just can't remember when that all happened.
Yeah, I'll look it up in a second. So the order was Jim Edmonds, Edgar Renteria, Fernando Vina, J.D. Drew, Ray Lankford.
Oh my God! Sorry, Ray.
Mike Matheny, Craig Paquette.
Ooh, sorry, Craig.
Fernando Tatis, Placido Polanco.
Oh yeah.
And then Mark McGuire.
I should have got Placido Polanco.
I thought you might get him, and then obviously I thought you might get Ray Lankford.
Yeah, but I don't know how me not getting Ray Lankford is just bad.
Yeah. Well, you still got 7 out of 10, so pretty good for a team from 22 years ago.
Went much better. Once it was the J.D. Drew clicked it in with me.
Yeah, he had a little hot streak
really
there.
good there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Tino Martinez joined the Cardinals in 2002.
Oh, that was close.
Yep. And he put up 1.3 FWAR in his first season and 1 WAR in his second season.
Let's go. Above replacement.
Could have been worse.
Could have been worse.
He had a 104 WRC plus in both years.
Wow.
Fun. Okay. Well, anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Talking About Birds. Thank you all again for joining us. Nice 5-game series coming up. Consider joining the Bird Squad and watching it alongside us. And we'll be back next week with our regular time, another episode. And until then, go Cards.
Nate, I'm going to slap you.
Bring it. No.